All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Scio Township Multimodal Transit Committee meeting for March 12th, 2006. Roll call, please.
Yapel, present. Aiken.
Present.
Reed. Here. Culbertson.
Here.
Moore's absent. Also present is Marie Grass, Forrest Yang, and Ken Anderson, and Kathy Jaskin, assistant members of the public.
All right, thank you very much. Adoption of the agenda. Are there any additions or revisions to the agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Reed.
Support.
Support by Yapel. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye to approve the agenda as posted. Aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Moving on. Communications to the committee. I just want to thank everyone. This has been an awesome advocacy group, and I think we're at about 80 individuals that have communicated to us, either the Board of Trustees or the MTC. And just to let you know, we do keep all those. We post them online, so there is a meeting record of that correspondence. So thank you very much. And yeah, this is, I just have to say, what I appreciate about it is, one, that these are people who have used the services. These are the people that we need to be talking to. And I sincerely appreciate people spreading the word and doing it early. So when we're, working on what the recommendation is, we have truly good input from people who are using the services. So thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to open public comment at 9:02. And we usually start with folks that are in the room, and then we go to anybody that's online. And you're welcome to come up and just introduce yourself. And we try and keep things to about 3 minutes each. And hopefully people will add information as they speak. So if anyone in Township Hall would like to address the MTC, please come forward.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, go ahead. I'll go after you.
Welcome.
Should I sit down?
Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Michael Barrow. I live in Ann Arbor, but I commute down to 30 quite often to go to my work that's here in Scio Township. And I just wanted to thank Ryan for responding to my email earlier, kind of explaining the situation better. But I'm, of course, here to advocate for keeping the 30 route along Jackson, because it's important for my wife and I to kind of help afford the area to be able to stay on one car, and the 30 is a very helpful key to keep being able to live in the high cost of living area here. Because I noticed that the shortfall or the increase in the cost for the 30, according to Ryan, was about $50,000. But for us to get another car, it's average cost of car ownership is like $10,000 a year, maybe even more now with the rapidly increasing costs. So I realize that your job's not easy because you have to balance the budget, and we live in a world of scarcity. But if you could come up with any sort of solution to keep that public transit open, particularly between Wagner and Parkland Plaza along Jackson, that would be very helpful. I don't know if potentially you could run the wave further down Jackson, or even just something like increasing the fare, if that's even an option somehow. Just being able to take the bus is very useful for a lot of people who don't really have a whole lot of other options for getting between Ann Arbor and Scio. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Hi, I'm Melissa Linick, and I live at Touchstone. Touchstone co-housing. I just turned 70. I just got my bus pass, and I'm looking forward to using it. I've used it a few times already, and it's just so enjoyable. It's actually kind of fun to meet your neighbors on the bus. It's really great. So I wanted to say that. This is really rough, I'm sorry, but people, I would like to see the bus 30 continue to go all the way to Myers. There are people who use these businesses that the bus is the only way that they can get to these places. And some of them come from in town, from Ann Arbor even. Take the bus into the medical facilities. To Myers is the one main grocery store that people can get to that's a little bit more affordable for people. So they come and go to work here, like Michael. They come to visit friends and family. We have CVS, which is a pharmacy. They come for the pharmacies. We have IHA, Michigan Medicine. Let's see what else here. And a lot of people can't afford to have a car. I mean, some people don't want to have cars these days, but some just can't. And that keeps people out of our community. And so my feeling is that we need to be hospitable to people who want to come and do business here, live here, and not keep people out. Let's see. Of course, it's more environmentally conscious, and there are people, a lot of people in the 3 co-housing communities and Lakestone, which is the community across the road from us. A lot of people use the bus from those communities, so it would be very bad if the number 30 bus went away and the wave. So. I think that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Welcome to the folks that just joined us. We are doing public comment, and we start with the folks that are in Township Hall. So if either of you would like to make a public comment, now is the appropriate time to come forward and address the MTC if you'd like.
Yeah.
And do introduce yourself.
My name is Nick. I live at Lakestone, and I use number 30 a lot to go downtown to work, movies, and if you take it away, I get to listen no more. The wave don't go downtown and the top at 6 o'clock. And if you want to go to the top to my house, I do that. You keep the box in by the top. Like, after the bus, come about into back, and not to my house. Because anything going bad bug and people can try. We can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Very dependent on the bus to get everything.
If I'm very independent and I move and 2014, and I remember I had to ride myself all the way down to Wagner to get to the number 9. And when the road came in 2017, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where it was.
If I'm able to get more around. And back then, if I had to go downtown, I have to wait every 2 hours for the wave to connect to the line.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah. Okay.
Good morning, welcome.
Good morning. My name is Judy Ivacco, I-V-A-C-K-O, and I live in Ann Arbor. I prepared a statement, so I'm just going to read it. I'm speaking to urge you not to cancel Bus Route 30. Local leaders say they are striving to make living in Ann Arbor affordable for people who work here. But canceling this bus route is in opposition of this goal. As an example, my son is a U of M graduate, works for the city downtown. He lives off of Zeeb Road and takes the bus from Meyer to downtown Ann Arbor. This saves him both gas money and parking fees, and adding those transportation costs to his monthly budget would probably make living in Ann Arbor not affordable for him anymore. I know there are lots of other people who share those circumstances and are in that same situation. This bus route also serves the senior citizens at Lurie Terrace, the Courthouse Square, and people who are receiving services at the Delana Center. I know you know all this, but I just want this on the record. This route provides transportation to grocery stores, to local healthcare systems, pharmacies, and many other local businesses to citizens who may not be able to afford a car or are no longer driving. So without this bus route, their ability to access these services and businesses would be severely limited. Local leaders keep talking about carbon neutrality and carbon emissions and road diets, and this seems to be completely counterintuitive to achieving those goals. It would increase car traffic, which has a detrimental environmental impact, which is the opposite of what needs to happen if local leaders want to achieve carbon neutrality. So I think canceling this bus route would be a disservice to the citizens of Ann Arbor, and I urge you to take these issues into consideration when you're thinking about canceling it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Shakira. I am a case manager at Alpha House over off of Jackson Road. I am here to advocate for my clients. The Bus 30 line is literally their lifeline to getting into permanent housing. Without that bus line, my clients, I honestly don't even know what they would do in a matter of being able to get to employment, in a matter of being able to go see housing. A lot of the clients that we have, they go from Alpha House, some of them go directly across the street to Lakestone Apartments. That is their choice for permanent housing. If we take this bus line away from them, they then lose their opportunity to be able to be permanently housed. I also have several clients in shelter who currently work in that plaza right there with Meyer. I have some who are employed at Meyer. I have some who are employed at some of the food restaurants that are right there. Again, if we take that bus line away from them, we are then farther marginalizing them and further putting them at a disadvantage. And they're already in a terrible situation as it is. Another reason why this bus line is super important to our clients is in shelter. We have a rule where at 9 a.m. everyone is to get up, go and look for a job, go and look for housing, go and look for childcare, something of the sort. That bus is the bus that every last person in the shelter gets on to be able to make those things happen. While I have only been at Alpha House for about 1.5 years now, I have had the opportunity to have people who've been there longer explain to me what it looked like when we didn't have a bus stop outside of Alpha House. One of the main concerns was safety. A lot of the times we have moms and dads who have little kiddos, we have pregnant moms, that kind of thing. And where we even started to fight for the bus stop in the first place is because we had pregnant mothers or mothers with small children walking from Alpha House to Wagner Road in the street because those businesses are not required to plow the roads in the wintertime. So we have literal families walking in icy roads, praying that they're okay and they make it to their destinations safely. So outside of, including, I should say, permanent housing, employment, childcare, healthcare, that line is detrimental to our clients. It is right outside of the building. It is the most easy accessible. And we try to be as low barrier as possible when it comes down to getting our clients housed. So yeah, that's not gonna be very good for Alpha House if you guys take that from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shakira. We're in public comment for those that just came in, and we're taking public comment from those in Township Hall right now. So if you'd like to address the MTC, now's your opportunity.
Hello.
Hi,
Welcome, do introduce yourself.
thank you. My name is Ricky. I'm also a case manager from Alpha House, and I'm here to advocate for our clients. This bus stop is a lifeline for the people that we serve. Just like Kyra was saying, this is their way to employment, to childcare, to healthcare. This is what gets them from our shelter out to the resources that they need for housing. Without it, they are in hazardous conditions. Like Kyra said, the businesses around us aren't required to plow the sidewalks. And so in the wintertime, we have little children and families walking along the roads in the dark with cars. It's nothing short of hazardous. This is a safety concern, and it's something that's needed by our families, especially when it comes to those experiencing homelessness. This is how they get to housing. This is how they get to employment. This is how they get to the resources that they need to be housed. You know, when we're looking at the well-being of the people in this township, we need to be thinking about what that looks like. So really, taking away this bus stop is taking away from their well-being.
Thank you very much, Ricky.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Jordan Krebs. I'm a member of the community here. I live in Scio Township. I take the bus pretty much every day to commute. So my wife and I were a single car family. If the bus goes away, then that means we have to get a second car, which is that expense us. And I know a lot of people here are very pro-climate, pro-fighting climate change. And removing the bus means adding a lot more vehicles, a lot more emissions to the roads. So, I think we should walk the walk. If anything, I think we need to improve the busways. There's not many shelters. I've seen a lot of people standing out in the snow. I've had to stand out in the snow and the rain and the wind. There's usually, you're standing in the dirt, there's ants in the dirt. I think if anything, we should be improving the bus route, not removing it. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Is there anyone else in Township Hall that would like to speak? All right, we'll move online.
All right, first up is Jeff Crawford, followed by Christina Fullerton. Go ahead, Jeff. Jeff? You're unmuted. Okay, we'll come back to Jeff.
Okay.
Christina Fullerton, I'm gonna unmute you. Go ahead, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, hi, good morning, everyone. At this point, I spoke at the last transit committee meeting and I spoke at the Board of Trustees meeting, so I think we're well acquainted. But during this public comment, I just wanted to get a sense of the timeline. So I want to know when you are expected to have a decision and when it will go to the Board of Trustees. And I also wondered about the transit committee itself. So if people wanted to apply to be on the multimodal transit committee, is there a way to do that? And what the process would be for that. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's try Jeff Crawford again, followed by Jill Diamond. Go ahead, Jeff.
Unmute. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. Good morning. My name is Jeff Crawford, and I live in Scio Farms at 6655 Jackson Road. I have been a user of the number 30 bus and Wave bus for many years. I am legally blind, a senior, age 62, and do not drive. The choice to eliminate the number 30 bus stop from Meyer will affect many people and businesses in the community along Jackson Road from Wagner Road to Baker Road. Riders use the service to go shopping, get health care, and go to work. Those that use the service may not have any other options for transportation and services due to economic circumstances, age, or disability. Yes, there is the Wave bus, though it does not stop anywhere along the corridor. It only has specific stopping points on its route. Also, it does not run late when some people need it for work or entertainment. I use the Wave and the number 30 to get downtown and connect with other buses for healthcare, shopping, and entertainment. I travel into Ann Arbor on some evenings, taking the number 30 back home late at night. I take the number 30 to the Meyer and then walk home to Scio Farms. There are many others that do the same. Imagine having to walk from Wagner Road to Scio Farms late at night. I have done this on rare occasions before the number 30 went to Meyer. As I am legally blind, I cannot drive, so my other options would be to take an Uber. This is a cost prohibitive for me and others in the community. Also, you might say, take the Wave bus door-to-door service. This option is very limited as they have always had a hard time staffing their vehicles. Also, they do not have enough of these vehicles to service the expanded needs if this were an option. The decision also affects those who live and work in Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti that use the number 30 to travel past Wagner Road for health care and work at U of M or Trinity Health, which are big employers in the area. I have a couple of questions for the board. There was a bus stop installed near the entrance of Scio Farms several years ago. Could you elaborate on the transportation plan at the time of that installation with all the new housing that has recently happened and that is planned on or near Jackson Road from Zeeb to Parker? What are the plans for public transportation along this corridor? How would this affect businesses that have employees that come in from outside the community? I have just a couple more. AAATA, on Tuesday in their Zoom meeting said you could provide, if you wanted to, statistical data showing how many riders this change would affect and what type of demand this would place on the Wave bus service if you follow through with your plan. Are you willing to provide, or can you provide that data? Is there another source to cover the shortfall if needed. With all the new homes in the township over the past few years, is it possible to pull money from those taxes? In summary, I believe eliminating the number 30 bus stop from Meyer will impact some of the most vulnerable members of our community. Thank you for taking the time to hear my comments and consider my feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Next up is Jill Diamond, followed by Dee McCarter. Go ahead, Jill.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jill Diamond. I live in co-housing in Scio Township, and I just want to add to my voice to the notion that the Route 30 is critical for our community and for so many people. For example, I have a neighbor who is struggling with unemployment and then was able to get a job downtown Ann Arbor, and he cannot afford a car. And so he really relies on Route 30 to get to work. And I know this is true for so many people who cannot afford a car, who choose not to have a car for environmental reasons. The Route 30 is critical for their livelihood and to be able to live in Scio Township. I also just want to underscore how critical Route 30 is from hearing from Alpha House and extremely vulnerable people who desperately do need this route. And even though we talk about the numbers of people riding it, I think it's critical to look at how we can support our most vulnerable people and how critical this route is. I also, for myself, I have two children, and one is going to be a teenager soon, and we chose to live in Scioto Township because of public transit that will allow them to go downtown. We do use it to go to civic events and protests. And I don't to make that go away would be really awful for our family as well in order to access these types of events, for them to have freedom. And it was a large portion why we chose to live here in Scioto Township. So I just wanted to add my voice to really support that we really need to keep line 30. It's just critical for people. Thank you so much for hearing me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill.
Okay, next up is Dee McCarty, followed by Alaco. McCarter, I'm sorry. My Zoom cut off.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, my full name is Daniel Parnoma Carter. Yeah, I also live in co-housing. And I also want to echo that Route 30 is very important for a number of people here in co-housing, as well as for the next door Lakestone Apartments. Um, there's also a number of offices here. There's also a U of M health facility here. So um, bus 30 is very important for this part of town to getting downtown. I myself have used the bus before, even though I have a car. It's nice to have that service available. And also, if I want to have a roommate who is, let's say, a grad student, that could be also really important. Um, And yeah, also for environmental reasons, I know Scio Township is trying to pursue sustainability. Transit is a very important piece of sustainability if we are to have people who can have fewer vehicles in their household or no vehicles in their household. It's also important for encouraging development that is higher density and where people are not as car dependent. Um, and that's important for reducing sprawl as well. So whether we're talking about air quality or climate emissions or reducing sprawl. Transit is an important piece of the puzzle in addressing those problems. So I hope that we can be investing more in transit, not less. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
Next up is El Baco. I hope I said that right.
Hello. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yep.
Hi, my name is AJ Ivaco. Apologies, I can't edit my name. I'm calling in from the 15th District Court at the moment. You all actually just heard from my mother, Judith Ivaco, who is kind enough to show up here. Before I start, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to hear my thoughts on this matter, and especially to thank everybody who's shown up to speak on this matter. It's a very important issue, and it affects many, many people in Scio Township and in Ann Arbor. As I said, I work at the 15th District Court. I'm a court clerk there. To be honest, working for the city of Ann Arbor, it doesn't really pay enough to live in Ann Arbor. I live just west of town, off Zeeb, and I take the 30 line bus all the way from Meyer to City Hall every day. I take it back that afternoon as well. And 90% of the time, both the morning and the afternoon, there's at least one rider on the bus with a major disability in a wheelchair, a power wheelchair, a walker, a cane. There's a blind and deaf man that rides the bus. There's multiple ALS patients in power wheelchairs that, to be honest, the wave is not even close to a feasible replacement for the bus line for these people. This is the route that connects the two largest elderly housing facilities at Courthouse Square and Lurie Terrace, and the homeless shelter at the Delonis Center to not only their groceries at Meyer, but their prescriptions at Meyer and CVS, their urgent care facilities at IHA, and their physician appointments both at IHA and U of M. This is care that they cannot go without. Last summer, there was a day when it was 100 degrees out, and this bus was turned around at Wagner. There were 7 elderly people in wheelchairs and walkers on that bus headed to IHA for their medical appointments. And when the bus was turned around, every single one of them turned around with it because none of them could continue on to IHA from that point. This bus system is something that the most disadvantaged residents of Ann Arbor absolutely rely on, not only for food and shopping and travel, but most importantly for their medical needs. Uh, no cost saving measure is explanation enough for getting rid of this. It's going to negatively impact many residents of both Ann Arbor and Scio Township. It's going to increase road congestion. It's going to increase emissions. It's just not a good idea. I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't have taken these jobs with the city and with the court if I wasn't able to ride this bus into work. This is something that residents rely on, both of the township and the city. So please just reconsider this plan and don't take away Route 30.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Jennifer Jansen. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Hi, I spoke the other day in the larger meeting as well, and I just wanted to chime in because as I've been spreading the word about this plan that would have disastrous impact on people's lives, right, which is different than numbers, and I really appreciate various speakers who've been sharing about their own personal stories and other people in their lives or who have actually taken the bus, right, and spent time with the people whose lives this would really undermine. I just want to speak up again because as I've been sharing on various Facebook groups and in different places, I've heard, more and more from folks saying, my roommate takes this bus. It would be a 5 mile walk to work without this bus, right? And every time you stop there, people panic in their eyes if you're around the bus and you're saying, hey, there's a plan to stop this. Oh my God, I rely on this bus, right? And so this is individually devastating to people's lives, as well as the climate change and the do you want to thrive in community or more of the, sort of not where we want to be going, car-based community. And so I just really, I'm curious to hear from this committee really detailed plans on how this won't absolutely undermine the lives of people who moved here and who got jobs here and chose healthcare providers here because they can access the Route 30 bus, right? My family's middle class, wealthy. We have one car. I guess we could get a second, right? But that's not the case for so many people who this plan would most directly impact, right? This is a quality of life thing for me. And it's a can you survive without dropping your ability to have a social connection or get to your doctor's appointments or have a job? Do you have to go? I mean, finding other apartments, good luck. Where are the apartments that people are going to find closer to their employment? People can't afford to live in Ann Arbor, right? So I'm really curious about what the plan is where you're going to catch people if you take something away from them, that you're really actually going to have a plan that is going to catch the people who need to be caught. And how much will it cost? Maybe that money could go towards the Route 30 bus. So just want to chime in again after hearing from more people about the direct impacts that they're experiencing, that their friends and people at Scio Farms and across the community would experience if you were to do this disastrous plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jennifer. Anyone else that wants to speak at public comment, please raise your Zoom hand. There are no hands raised.
All right, then I will entertain a motion to close public comment. Moved by Reed, supported by Yeaple. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Public comment is closed at 9:37. Thank you, everyone. I think there were a couple questions that we might want to just respond briefly.
Can I answer a couple of them first?
Please, go ahead.
First off, thank you everybody for coming and giving us comments not only today, but at the board meeting the other night, for those that came either in person or via Zoom. I can answer several of these questions probably for different groups. First off, thank you staff from Alpha House for coming. I'm going to send an email to Shanga about the sidewalk clearing. We have an ordinance and we have a code enforcement officer that can help with that. It's driven by a complaint basis, so if there are businesses, especially along Jackson Road, but anywhere in the community that aren't clearing their sidewalks within a certain time frame, we first want to educate people and we follow up with them, and if we still have compliance issues, we have ways of encouraging that compliance. A couple of questions from the gentleman that lives in Scio Farms regarding the bus stop that was installed near Scio Farms several years ago. Scio Farms is owned by a private company, of course. There was originally, those bus stops were installed by the Downtown Development Authority. That was a board that did what was called a tax increment finance capture. Basically, way back in 1988, all the land along Jackson Road was worth something, a lot less than it is today. And now it's worth a lot more because time has come, development has come. That money all went into an account and could be used to provide a lot of different things. It went to cover some of the mowing of Jackson Road at various times. It went to do boulevard improvements back when Jackson Road in 1990 something was one lane in each direction. It now paid for the bonds to build the boulevard, so it's 2 lanes divided by the middle. The DDA went through and installed those bus stops. I think there's 5? Do you guys remember? Yeah, 5 of them. It was a little bit before me. Throughout the community, we tried to install it inside of Scio Farms. Scio Farms wasn't willing to do that at the time. So that was a thing. There is one more that the developer of Woodview Commons has paid for and could be installed this year or next year, depending on the construction schedule.
You want to touch on that? Dissolution of the DDA?
Yeah, the DDA had existed since 1988. The Board of Trustees took a vote here in August of 2025. The majority of the board voted in favor of dissolution of the DDA. What that means is we no longer, as the DDA or the township, no longer as the DDA, capture that increased revenue. It goes back to the original taxing jurisdictions. It's a little bit complex to think through, but I will say that a lot of it actually benefits the transit fund. Right now, about $50,000 extra a year. So that is money that goes back to the township to pay for transit service. I was one of 2 votes against dissolving the DEA, but it happened. We unfortunately have to move on.
Do you want to just piggyback on that, how our transit is funded in Scio?
That's another thing. I've gotten a lot of emails, and apologies if I haven't responded to everyone. I've been working to respond to people one-on-one, and there's been a lot of communications. I'm maybe a day or 2 behind. Transit is funded in Scio based off a millage that is exclusive to Scio Township. AAA, and they can probably speak to it better than I can. They have a millage that exists, but we are not part of that millage. We have our own dedicated millage in the township. It's on all property tax bills that go out in December each year. That millage was originally estimated to bring in, it depended by the year, but more money than it has brought in so far. In addition, cost of the service, for a lot of reasons, has gone up faster than we originally predicted. That leaves us in that shortfall situation where we have to come up with additional funding from either the general fund. There is money from the Downtown Development Authority that is remaining. That money will be reallocated here probably within the next 30 days as we close out the township's fiscal year at the end of the month. What that means, possibly subject to a recommendation from this body and a vote of the Board of Trustees, is we could and will receive money to the township. I do not have an amount today. I have to wait for the finance team to give that to me. But it will probably be hundreds of thousands of dollars that could go towards something like transit services. It does not have a specific category that it goes back to. That's all decided by the Board of Trustees itself. Once again, all stuff that's being worked on, all stuff that's in progress. As far as joining this committee, we have a committee charge. It's listed on the website under a multimodal transit committee. Right now, there isn't any openings, but it could be something we could talk about here and make a recommendation to the board to expand. Something
You want to say the board appoints.
and the board also appoints. So the Board of Trustees, we serve as an advisory body. We can only recommend. We have no power to compel spending or actions of the board. Thanks. I think I hit all the things I had.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Ryan, and thank you, everyone. And basically, what this committee is charged with is making a recommendation to the Board of Trustees, looking at funding, looking at services, et cetera, et cetera. And I know as we've been. I thought transit was rather straightforward, but it is not. And so we're learning as we're going too, and I think even today we have some additional information that's coming about how transit services are funded, who can provide services in certain zones, et cetera. So thank you for coming, and we'll all learn about this together. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to look at our minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? I'll entertain a motion to approve as posted.
I'll move the minutes.
Okay, Reed.
Second.
Support by Aiken. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes of February 26th are adopted as posted. All right, we'll continue on with our discussion. And I know there was a question about timeline. Until we have all the information we need to have, it's going to be very hard to pinpoint a timeline. There is some urgency to do that. Did you have a comment?
I was
on
going to
timeline?
say, so one of the things I've shared in some of the emails, and I know I shared it with at least a couple of folks so far, is the board took action last September. We had been aware of this for a number of months, and we needed to do something to try to maintain a balance of the income and the outgoing. So I believe the date in there says something about May. I have to look at
Yeah, I think that was
I
right.
have to look back at what was approved, but I believe it's like May 15th and May 18th. it may be a slightly different date. The other complexity about this is ADA has some very delineated public comment process, so they have to have a lot of notice, not only from their service planning, but also from a ability for everyone that's here and anyone else can go and comment about how a service would be changed. So we have to look at what that date is, and ultimately it has to be on a board meeting, and that has another set of calendar challenges. So it's not something that's been specific. I hope over the course of the next few months we would get there. I don't think this is something that's probably a 6-month process. At this time, it's probably less than that.
So hopefully it's vague but helpful.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll go ahead and continue with our meeting. And I guess, Marie, do you want to just sort of start with, sort of since our last meeting, what's going on?
And I have a funding call I have to jump on at 10. So I'm going to share a bunch of information. I'll take questions until I have to go jump on that call. But last time we met, I alluded that I've had a chance to look at the snapshot data that ADA provided a while ago. It was a 3-month period, and they gave stop level information. And I had shared at the last meeting that I did have a chance to start looking at that, and that the Sprinter solution alone would not be able to meet the need. We would need to have a fixed route solution there. And looking even more into that data, there are time points that would exceed the capacity that Wave is able to provide. And we would also need to, if we were going to continue down that route, look at the time span for those fixed routes. Those riders are used to ADA's schedule that starts very early in the morning and goes to like 11:30 midnight. And so those are some additional factors we would have to take into consideration. But I kind of paused working on that particular piece because as I've been asking questions to MDOT about how the funding mechanism might work, they were like, oh, wait, but some of this is urbanized area, right? And I was like, well, yeah, that's why I'm asking why the funding that's why I'm asking about the funding mechanism. And they said that not only would we need to do some reporting differently, but that we need to have more conversations with Ann Arbor about it, because Ann Arbor is the urbanized transportation authority in the county, and your Jackson Road area all the way through Woodview Commons is considered the urbanized area. ADA and Wave are having more discussions about what this means and what it looks like, but I do want to flag for this committee, because it impacts your decision making, that there is a chance that Wave is not allowed to provide service along Jackson Road, which would impact the current Jackson Road connector we have too. So those are more conversations our agencies are having, and we're having with MDOT to kind of figure out what is permissible and what's not. Just because I only have a few more minutes left, some questions that I think would be really good for you all to ask the ride are around their millage area. Is Scio able to join the Ann Arbor Millage Authority as an Act 51, and they can speak more to it, but as an Act 51 agency, they can do their own millage, not through the township's millage. So could the township join their millage area? Could just the urbanized portion of Scio join their millage area, and then you could keep a non-urban millage for Wave service? I don't know if that's a thing or not, but those are good questions to ask. If Wave is not allowed to provide rides exclusively in the urbanized area, what would it cost for the ride to provide that transportation? So these Scio Farm folks don't lose access to that. Additionally, Wave currently goes around Parkland Plaza, and there are several addresses at the very end of that loop in one of the co-housings in Lakestone that is just past that 3/4 of a mile paratransit zone. So could there be a little bit more of an exception to make sure all of those houses in that loop are able to use the paratransit service for their fixed route if Wave is not able to provide that. And then one other thing that I'm going to be looking into, I think one thing that we haven't circled back to in quite some time is if the assumption is that you would keep the Route 30. They're estimating 560,000, and the budget that the board gave for this was like 623, 630. I'm gonna circle back to that scenario and see how we can reduce Wave services to fit within that proposed budget. Because I mean, keeping both as is also not an option for the budget that you currently have. And so that's one piece of homework I'm gonna have for you next time.
If I may,
Yep.
just to clarify. Because you're not allowed to provide service in an urban area, does that mean for us, no Sprinter, no door-to-door along in that corridor?
Right, so what the state has this urban designation and non-urban designation. And the rides that start in the non-urban area are allowed to end in the urban or vice versa, right? So that's how Wave's able to provide, say, Manchester Township resident to Ann Arbor and then back home. The urban to urban rides are what the state's like, hey, shouldn't the ride be doing this? Should you have more discussion about that? And so that would mean your urban portion, Wave may not be able to do, definitely not the Sprinter, because that whole design was in that urbanized zone. Door to door might look a little different. We might be able to do Scio Farms or Parkland Plaza to, say, the Dexter Senior Center, the Wellness Center, something like that, but we wouldn't be able to do urban to urban. So Scio Farms, Parkland Plaza into the city of Ann Arbor.
Or to Melia?
Right.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So.
That shoots a lot of our backup plans.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's terrible.
Christy, I'm going to forward you the map of the urban area so you can post it with the meeting information so people can see the map of what defines. It's the urbanized map. Yeah, and when you look at it, it's the Scio urbanized portion is in purple. And there's a little bit in Dexter that's pink, and that's sort of their mini urbanized area. And then Ann Arbor is shown in pink because that's an urbanized area too, just if you're looking at the map. But it's an important designation, and we want to make sure we understand what that means for the services because it's a little bit in conflict with the way things are operating even now. So, yeah. Not to throw another, but yeah, as you can tell, we're discovering things that affect how we can provide those services. So, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Marie.
Yeah. All right. So, please, why don't if you two just introduce yourselves to folks that are here, because I don't think they've probably been here 10, and then. Go ahead and talk about some of the questions that Marie had and sort of some of the discussions that you've had since we've been talking about funding and so forth. So.
All right. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Marie. My name is Forrest Yan. I'm the Deputy CEO of Planning Innovation at the Right.
And I'm Kenny Anderson. I'm the lead planner for transit service at the Right.
Well, a lot of good questions. I think the first question about talking about the millage, certainly Right now, if for folks you may not know, Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority sort of is taxing authority for transit services, and we have 3 members, and one is City of Ann Arbor, and then City of Ypsi, and then Ypsilanti Township. Of course, with Scio, right now, our arrangement for services in Scio is through a purchase of service agreement. So every year, we sign an agreement with Scio Township, and they got Board of Trustee approval. So we do estimate for Route 30, for some A-ride service, because we obligate to provide 3/4 mile A-ride service coverage. So then we give estimate to Township, and Township will authorize that and sign a post agreement. And it's same with wave service. So that's how the arrangement today. If, assuming there's an interest to join the authority, of course, Scio Township Board of Trustees need to get a resolution and apply. And then our board of directors need to approve it, and then goes through 3 members, like council or board of trustees. For example, City of Ann Arbor has to approve it, City of Ypsi Council has to approve it, and then Ypsilanti Township Board of Trustees. So that's kind of the general process. There are a lot of detailed legal related, but if there's interest, we can certainly explore that. In terms of urbanized or non-urbanized, I think that's very complicated, right? So you only tax one area, but what about the service? Do you provide paratransit? Do you provide some kind of a door-to-door? It's going to be very tricky because we're only allowed to probably tax only one mill rate. So it's hard to separate those. I don't know, if that's even feasible.
What you're saying is to divide it between just to do the urban versus the rural. So that's a real big question.
Complicated.
Okay.
That certainly need to be, more like research need to be done.
And just so, also the urbanized zone, it doesn't stay fixed. It changes with population density.
Yeah.
So,
They make adjustment every few years.
So testing for understanding, if we were able to join joining the millage area, if you will.
Yeah, the transit authority.
That would allow us to provide service, at least Route 30 service, within the urbanized area in Scio Township. That would include all the places we're serving now, including Scio Farms? I think that's in the urbanized.
I can tell you because our mill rate is much higher than Scio mill rate, right? So in order to do that, we certainly need to have a service plan.
Right.
Okay, what kind of service Scio Township community the residents want, and then we can design that service plan accordingly. Certainly, there's ways to implement that. There are going to be probably more services, a lot more service than today. I will put it that way, right? But again, you need to go through the process and making sure this is what the community wants, right? And of course, there is other approval process need to go through. Yeah, that's going to be a very big question, I think, to the township.
I'm sorry, what's going to be a very big question?
The millage, joining the authority.
And that millage would be for the entire township or just in the urbanized area?
That part, I'm not 100% sure. Okay. I need to get that
So,
if that's even possible.
Yeah, to clarify, my understanding too. So, going along with only one mill rate, so it would be, does the city of Ypsilanti Township, and the city of Ann Arbor all use the exact same mill rate?
Yeah.
Oh, so we would have to pay that same mill rate. Oh.
Right.
And what's that millage rate?
I want to say it's just over 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
2.3.
that would be a big increase from tax.
That's why.
And what's our current?
Hold on.
3, 4, 6, 7.
I mean,
Yeah, I
just
think
for
between 3, 4, 6, 7.
.3467 or
Yeah.
3647. something.
0.36?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, that would be a
Should be at
substantial
least 5.
increase.
Yeah, there's been a lot, like I said, we need to come on a plan.
That's a
right?
huge, yeah.
So how are you gonna use that? So certainly gonna be a lot of more services.
If we did go forward with that, you would still only be able to provide service in the and I'm calling it the purple area, the urbanized zone.
Oh, not necessarily, because everybody paying tax, right? So you may be able to do a lot more than that.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, there, like I said, they're subject to a lot of things, approval process, and of course, as you heard, we have a lot of labor shortage issue. Buses takes a lot of things to get there.
The process for levying that millage, what is the process for levying that?
Like I said, you need to join us, apply to join the authority.
I mean, assuming we did,
Oh,
how does it work
yeah,
at that
that
point?
part I think is some. I don't know the first time, but going forward, like us, we go out for every 5 years, we go out for millage vote. For example, we just had our 2024. Yeah, we did it in 2022. So we went out on the ballot. We have a language say, hey, AAT is asking for restore, renew, or expansion. The millage we have. So this is a mill rate, and then all voters will say yes or no. And then if we get it, enough support, so we'll continue to get that mill rate.
And that would be in all of the jurisdictions that are
As a
part
member
of it.
of the authority, yeah.
So what's unknown is the process for the first time.
Right, first time I'm not sure because, your first time you introduce that millage, right? Maybe township needs to do it, I don't know. We can check it out if township is interested in that.
I think it would just be good information to know.
Yeah, I know.
Fully what that, so there's this option and this is the process for it.
Right, so if I'm understanding it correctly, the first time would be an application to add after a resolution by the board, application, and then after that, it would be something.
The question
Am I
would be,
understanding that
would there
right?
have to, the question is how, if it would be a vote, if the township would require a vote of the community to.
For the first one.
For the first
Only.
one or not.
After
or
that, it would.
if the
okay.
board of trustees can join it and then it just.
Right, yeah, okay, so I am
is in the
understanding it
pool.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's what we need to define.
Yeah, so the other thing I understand out of this, if I'm just measuring for understanding, is basically the Board of Trustees would pass a resolution expressing desire, willingness, whatever you want to call it, to join the millage. And then we would also require Ada's approval, City of Slade's approval, Ipsy Township, and the City of Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
That would be a very long process. Just being honest.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, so we just need to define that,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
point. And then also, I know you said it was complicated, but try and figure out this urbanized, rural kind of thing. If there's any opportunity to define that differently.
We can probably get back to you on that.
Okay, all right. So,
The other question is about extension to serve Baker, because in case we cannot do that anymore. I think just for everybody's information, as I explained to you guys before, transit operations, especially fixed route, every time you add even a small portion, because right now you run buses every half hour, right? You got 2 buses through that, but suddenly you add 5 minutes or even 10 minutes, now you need another bus to keep every half hour service, unless we turn to every 40 minutes. But that's not how we do service, because that's confusing. Every 40 minutes, it's not a regular schedule. And then the connection to other systems, the rest of the system is not going to happen if you run every 40 minutes, right? So that's why sometimes it's very tricky. You only add a mile or 2 miles, but you need to add a bus, add a full-time driver. So that costs, that costs a lot. So every time, like for example, the weekday we operating 18 hours, like from 6 to midnight-ish, right? So yes, you add a bus, and now you add a driver, but one driver is not enough because 18 hours, right? So now you got 2 full-time. So that's why sometimes I have to say transit operations is expensive. But they're there for a reason, because provide reliable, fixed route services. It is not going to be very cheap, I would say, for that portion, even that small portion, just because now you suddenly need a new bus. Unless we can use that bus, you only need a half bus, for example. But the other half bus,
It doesn't work, because it doesn't work for the rest of the route,
unless we can
right?
find somewhere there's a desperate need, another half bus, so we can better utilize that bus, right? Otherwise, that additional bus is going to be the cost. So we will have to, if you wanted us to do some estimate, we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things that comes to mind is, and this has to do with what WAVE would be able to do, because we do have, there are folks that are using the 30, that use the WAVE to get to the 30 because, it's, and a lot of people, it sounds like, use the WAVE to get to the 30.
Right. But I think Marie's question is more related to MDOT conversation.
Right.
There are like federal state regulations, right? They kind of a guide on how we provide services.
Restrict, not guide.
Right. Because there are certain rules and apply. As long as you get money from them, you have to follow their rules, right? So I think both WAVE and AAT need to making sure we all, follow those regulations or not, because otherwise you're going to lose funding. So that's the risk we're taking. I think, before maybe we kind of not clear what can or cannot be done. But now since MDOT got involved, and we need to sit down with MDOT. Of course, there are going to be some discussion. I don't know what the outcome would be, but we'll probably need to start to think about some options.
Yeah, so just a question is, just for timing purposes, our next meeting is scheduled for 2 weeks. Do you think that there could be a sit down with MDOT and kind of define and get a better understanding of what the actual funding parameters are for who serves what?
I'm not sure, to be honest, because this is going to be, depends on MDOT availability and our finance department and of course WAVE, right? And I would say we probably can clarify with MDOT, and also we need to talk to FTA, just because it's related to some of the federal reporting or regulations too.
Okay.
It's going to take some time. I just want to manage expectations, given people's availability for the next few weeks. I don't anticipate we're going to get a firm answer. We may have more information by next meeting. Certainly more work needs to be done.
Back to the committee. Do we wait until we have that information? I sort of feel like this is the major parameter that we have to determine before we can even talk about services and who provides what. Right?
Well, but and to his point, there's no way we can force a meeting with a federal organization.
Right.
Especially given the
Well, that's what
condition
I'm more
in
looking
Washington.
at our schedule, that I'm not sure it would be productive for us to meet until we have some of the parameters around which
Well,
we have to.
My understanding though, our agreement with WAVE, and I don't know if we've formally extended it, but they've offered to extend it to the end of February of 27.
January.
End of January 27. So we have 10 months. Now there's other other restrictions within our own budgeting process and things like that, but boy, I don't know.
I would.
The 2 mil in South Township, 2 mills would raise like over $3 million. Would that $3 million be used within the township, or would that just go into your general bucket and be used for funding everywhere.
Yeah, generally it goes to the bucket, right? But we try to balance the level of service. But you have to consider the network. For example, a lot of people coming here or work or going to the city. I mean, there's a lot of connections. I'll give you an example from Ypsilanti, for example, the transit center to Ann Arbor, right? There are a lot of service between those two transit centers. How do you allocate? There's no, it's benefited both communities or all members. Sometimes it's hard to.
Well, it's kind of hard to go from a budget of 600,000 to a budget of 3 million overnight. So we'll have to, but it's tempting, very tempting. But yeah, until we know this whole urban, non-urban, urban-rural issue is a real problem for us. But at least Route 30 can continue, at least for the next few months until we.
You know, like I said before, if needed, we will extend POSA. I mean, we can just continue with the current POSA as long as, I mean, there's there's funding.
The funding for it, yeah.
Right.
Do you know, this is probably a $1,000 question, do you know roughly what the increase as a percentage looks like for next year yet?
Typically, we only apply inflation, right? I think last time there was a little bit more increase just because state funding, but now we see next few years state funding is stabilized for transit portion, right? We don't anticipate any more than inflation.
Okay.
But I would just want to clarify, we're in the process to review all our POSA agreement.
Okay.
So there could be outcome from that review process because we want to making sure everybody being charged correctly.
Equitably. Yeah.
But there is going to be a consistent approach. So in the probably next few months, we should have something of that review process. But I don't want to anticipate significant change for Scio, not at this moment.
How many other POSAs do you have?
We have 3, and then one is Superior Township, one is Pittsfield Township, and then Scio Township.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Because I know we had some questions about how Pittsfield got X and we got Y, or that kind of thing. So that would be great. All right. All right. So back to, thank you for being willing to, extend. And I know WAVE has also been willing to extend the agreements too. So, obviously, we don't know how long it's going to take to work this out.
Does it make sense to meet again with Burrito until we know?
No. Yeah. So the question is, if there's a willingness, to extend the POSAs, that's good. And the trustees can act on that. They don't need a recommendation. I think we need to update them where we're at. And then I feel like, pushing as much as we can to outline the framework is going to be important because it's very hard to, even discuss what the services look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand. I think Marie already started the conversation with MDOT, with our finance department. So we'll let them continue that conversation until they confirm with FTA and MDOT. So here's the very clear regulation, what can be done, right? So then we all move forward with that, and then you gotta at least have some ideas what the options, maybe like I said, feasible options, right? So.
I'm just wondering if it makes sense to, not meet.
The 26th is the next meeting, and then we don't have anything
Right,
after
and
that,
then
so we can hold until.
hold, or actually put a tentative date in for April 2nd, which would give us 4 weeks. And hopefully, there's at least some, and if we don't have a determination, then we can decide if we want to, meet anyway, or not, if there's enough information that we can discuss something fruitful.
Sure.
Okay. If that makes sense, then we should probably have a motion to cancel our 26th meeting and and propose it in April 2nd if people are, okay, will you be back then?
April 2nd? No.
Pardon?
No, I won't be back until, April 4th. That's Saturday. So, last week,
Okay.
last few days of March.
The other one we could just do is April 9th.
Do April 9th.
Let's do April 9th. Will that work for you? And that gives us 6 weeks to try and get.
Sure. By that time, I may ask our CFO or somebody from finance to
That would
join.
be awesome. That would be awesome.
Depends on the conversation. If it's super clear to everybody, great. I probably can give you an update. But if it's a little, not sure, and then maybe I will have somebody to discuss that with the committee.
You and I are okay though.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so,
I'll make the motion to cancel the meeting for March 26th and to have our next meeting on April the 9th at 9 o'clock.
Is there support?
Support.
Support
Oh.
for,
I'll go with Reed.
okay, Reed, all right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, great.
So can I just make one more
Please.
comment?
Go ahead.
I think in terms of the POSA, right, like we normally do, every year, just another renew. It hasn't been issues until this time because the budget related, right? So, of course, we are like in the process of review of POSA, but we're gonna give you a proposal. But for this year, like if you decide to only extend to January, for example, of course, we can prepare a POSA. But if township is willing, okay, just have another year, so we can easily just do another renew until next September. So that as we normally do.
Yeah.
Right? Typically, the process will be, we prepare a draft POSA. Here's the estimate cost, here's the service schedule and things. We submit that to township leadership, and then you go through the board meeting, approve it.
Do you have an idea of when that might?
Typically, we do in the summer, like maybe July-ish, because we need to get everything approved by September, just because that's our budget cycle. So for next year, we're gonna give you a draft POSA, probably July-ish.
This July.
Yeah, July-ish, and then you look at it, if you approve it, so we're gonna continue for another year, or whatever time frame we are all agreed upon, right? So that's the general the process.
Right. Okay. And I think also, Brian and David, from a trustee's standpoint, one is, now we have a finance staff on board, getting updated projections, for the current millage, and also then looking like in Ryan, you were talking about, some of the DDA funds, et cetera. So I think on our end, we can also look at, some of those funding strategies, at least, because as we're looking at this, I'm thinking it's probably not an end of January thing. Yeah. So I think the reality is we need to buy us more time to do it and understand what we're doing, so it isn't right. Yeah, it could include, millage stuff. So, so I think, so if you all could, kind of work with the Board of Trustees that way, and then also work on some funding. And then by the 9th, we might have, some of the, at least the pieces, so, yeah. Okay, great.
Would you be able, Ryan, I don't know if we can fit this in, but would you be able to come to the board just for a brief overview of what we're talking about, other than a view from Ryan and me?
Sure.
Okay.
What date were you thinking of, David?
Next one? I don't know. The sooner the better, I think, because I think if...
Are you thinking before the 9th, though, before our next meeting is what I'm asking?
Yes.
Okay, so the 24th.
I can
That
I
would
can
be
do a quick.
for the record, that would be the only board meeting before.
Right, that's why I would like to
And
know.
that one is, I'll put it on my calendar.
Yeah, so March 24th.
Okay.
Update by
But
multimodal.
to me, the only solution to this problem is for us to go out for a change in the millage. 2 mills, is bridge too far, no offense. We could probably get half or maybe 0.55, but 2, kind of steep, so.
But one of the other things we have now is we have a huge advocacy group, which is awesome, and important.
We'll call on you guys to support us on that.
And I will share, I did speak with our communications consultant, or I sent her a message right before this meeting. I'm gonna see if we can set up some sort of like email list on the website. That way we can have some like better outgoing communication about where we are in our process.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
that way everybody can find out about it a little bit better than
Then next door.
next door.
Yeah.
No offense to them.
No, I mean, that it services its purpose,
Welcome
but
back.
we have to, yeah. Go ahead.
Did you learn anything interesting?
Okay, the 26th, great.
What we need is accurate financial projections, at least for the next few years, which all in their defense, the previous transit committee did not have to make the recommendation to the board for the renewal last time. They assumed the same millage would be sufficient, when in fact,
Yeah, it's not, and also the costs were not quite squared away at that point either.
so
Yeah.
with accurate information, I think we'll know.
Okay, good. So, anything else? Any announcements?
Anything from you, Marie? I don't know.
Nope, I gave you my,
I started that.
my information dump.
And thank you again, and glad you're back. All right, anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, Aiken and Reed? Okay, all those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? All right, we are adjourned at 10:22. Thank you very much.
So Marie, I was gonna ask you if you could supply us with 2 wave buses going back, replacing the 31, and the wave one going to the 31.
Thank you guys.
Oh, so you're really good full circle.